Here we go. I'm ready. Hi, I'm Landy Kieschnick with ICEV. Thank you for joining us today for the Enhancing Student Outcomes Building and Industry Certification Focused course. We are excited to have Dr. Luke Laborde from Louisiana State University as the presenter for this session. Thank you, Dr. Laborde, for being with us, and we're excited to hear about your presentation.
Thanks very much, Landy, and I'm very excited to be here. So let me share my screen and we will get started. So I'm here to talk to you specifically about the Ducks Unlimited Ecology Conservation and Management Certification, which is being offered nationally by ICEV, but which we are adapting specifically to offer as a part of our curriculum this fall as R&R 2062 Section 2 for fall of 2021. So I'm going to touch briefly on the approval and classification process. I'm going to give you a quick overview of our syllabus and the class schedule, a little bit about the course content, and then we're going to look at some examples of the assessments and certifications that are built in. And this material has really been put together by Dr. Tom Moorman, the chief scientist of Ducks Unlimited, and other scientists that are working for them, and they have done an excellent job, in my opinion. So the approval and classification process for teaching this class was really pretty straightforward. I took the class with an outline and the materials to our undergraduate coordinator. We reviewed it, approved the content, and then forwarded that for approval to the director of the School of Renewable Natural Resources, which was a pretty easy sell in the program. In our review, we determined that the material was sufficient to qualify for 2 college credit hours. We're going to be meeting once a week on Wednesdays from 2:30 to 4:20. And for 2 credit hours, we would anticipate that would involve about 4 hours of out-of-class work in completion of the program. So once we had these approval, we forwarded the information to the registrar, and it gets listed on the fall calendar for scheduling. And this works really easy because we have in our schools some very flexible courses, almost placeholder courses. R&R 2061 for independent studies, R&R 2062 for seminars, and R&R 2063 for internships that are unpaid but for academic credit. And we can slot classes into these 3 areas without actually going to the approval by the Courses and Curriculum Committee of the university. And 2000 level classes are targeted to sophomores, but any undergraduate can actually participate in a 2000 level class at LSU. And this is what it actually looks like, the kind of blow up of the schedule. These are 2 seminars that I'm going to be teaching in addition to other classes in the fall. My first is Sand County Almanac by Aldo Leopold, and then you can see R&R 2062 Section 2, the DU Ecology Conservation and Management Certification. And you might note here that this class is already full. In fact, I've already received approval to increase the class size to 20, and pretty comfortable that that will be full at that level as well. So looking at the syllabus, our course objective is to develop student knowledge of ecological principles and wildlife management, of forest, grassland, and wetland habitats, and of waterfowl conservation and management. And we're going to simply establish a grading program based on 300 total points. 150 points will derive from 15 weekly assessments. There is an assessment for each of the lectures in the class. At the end of the semester, we have a 100-question certification exam. And then I really like to encourage in-class participation. Boy, thankfully, post-COVID, we can back to in-class. And so that will make up the balance of 300 points. The weekly assessments are really pretty neat because they follow, there's an assessment already pre-prepared for each of the lectures. These are 10-question assessments in multiple choice, true and false, matching type formats. Student has to complete the assessment and have a score of 70% or higher in order to proceed to the next lecture. I like it, keeps them on schedule. I like even more that if they can take the assessment as many times as they want to and work to get a higher score. And I like that because repetition is really a key component to knowledge acquisition or learning. So the fact that they can encourages them to go over this material multiple times, I view very favorably. So the certification exam is 100 randomized questions out of a larger pool at the end of the semester. Again, a score of 70% is higher to actually reach the certification certificate, but we're going to aspire for higher standards, as you will see in a moment. There is a certification testing platform fee of $60. We're going to have the students pay that directly to ICEV or register for their license directly with ICEV rather than run that through the bursar's office and fee bills. So here's the actual grading scale for the class. LSU works in plus minus grading scheme. So for an example, you can see that to get an A plus, you actually need to be at 291 points or higher on the 300. And at least in my opinion, anything less than 210 points is unacceptable. And 210 points is also the threshold for certification. We work very hard to make sure that our students earn appropriately acceptable grades. So here's the course content and the class schedule. Again, we're meeting once a week on Wednesday. And it's really exciting to me because essentially, whether it's at LSU or any other university with a wildlife ecology or wildlife habitat management program, this is a terrific introduction and overview of 4 years of coursework in that area. Ecology, habitat management, ecosystem services, population dynamics, wildlife ID, the North American model, really good stuff. And we have junior and senior level classes and covering just about all of these topics. And that's why I'm so excited to be able to offer this as an introductory class. So some of the course content real quickly. In ecology, we start with the carbon cycle and the water cycle, and the importance of water discharge and recharge on the landscape and how it impacts wetlands. We look at population dynamics and how predator and prey populations cycle. We look at different wildlife habitat techniques, management techniques, such as prescribed fire. And then we get into wildlife ID. So in the ID standpoint, we cover game animals. Yes, raccoons are considered a game animal in Louisiana. Cover reptiles and amphibians, cover non-game mammals, cover both waterfowl and non-game birds. And then we get into waterfowl ecology and management in the class. Looking at morphology, looking at migration, looking at life cycle work. And we finish up with the North American model of wildlife management, which has been unique in this world and is the model for wildlife management in many emerging countries, and the importance that fair chase and that we as humans have a critical part to play in the wildlife management process. So let's take a look at one of the videos. There are actually 18 different videos. So this is a very interactive class. Each of these was specially designed and recorded for this program. And we're going to just take a minute on a snip here. So I've worked with Dr. Leshak for over 20 years, and he is a good and serious scientist. And these videos convey good and serious science. And it's really great to be able to offer that. So now we're going to take a moment and I'm going to show you just some examples of the weekly assessments. Again, so these are pulled from randomized questions following each of the lectures. And there we go. And the question here is, here's one on labeling big game species, form of matching. All right, and it's really great that these assessments are already in place and provided as a part of the curriculum. And now let's do a couple of example questions out of the final certification exam. Again, there being 100 different questions that are randomized for the students with a passing grade of 70% or more required. Looking at the nitrogen cycle. So as an instructor, it's really great to have up-to-date information, a new curriculum, and the assessment tools are already developed for you. So it really makes it a really easy transfer into the program, and one that I'm very excited about. And of course, at the end of the class, our students will earn a certification. Very important to helping them build their resumes as they look for internships while they're in school and permanent jobs following graduation. So this is a good match at LSU, and I think it's great for the students. I also think it's great for university curriculums to have this tool. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Laborde. And before we get to questions, I just wanted to add as well, and something that we did for you is you were able to take the certification exam and actually look at those questions and see the rigor of those questions. And so that's something that we could provide for instructors that are on this on this session here, that if you want to look at those questions, we could provide that voucher for you to get in and take a deeper look. But thank you again, Dr. Laborb, and thank you all for attending this session. Just a reminder to follow the link below for the live Q&A where you can ask Dr. Laborb any questions. You can ask me questions as well about our other certifications. But thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you in the Q&A.